Hi, everyone. Hope that you're all doing well, and welcome to another Speaking Examiner seminar. You're very welcome. My name is Chris, and I'll be taking you through this session. This is a live session, so let's give everyone a few minutes to get in, and I'll check that everything's working okay, and hopefully I am actually live. We should be broadcasting live to both YouTube and Facebook, so if you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, just drop me a comment and let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me and everything is working okay. And then I will explain exactly what we're doing and how we're going to help you in this session. Okay. So let's say hello to a few people. Gurpreet, hello. Harpinder, hello. Shivani, hello. Alina, Nisha, Lubov. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing any of your names. Arshdeep, Mohammed, let me see, Baljeep, John. Thank you so much, John, for having the easiest name in the world to pronounce. It's my dad's name and my brother's name, so it's very easy for me. And hello to everyone else saying hello. Okay. So we've got no complaints about sound or anything, so must mean that it is working okay. All right, guys. So someone said, Alina says, how are you, Chris? I'm very well, thank you. I'm very, very well. Okay. All right. Some of you are asking a few questions. Unfortunately, I will not have time in this session to do a Q&A. I'll see if I have time at the end, but today we're going to focus on speaking. All right. If you have questions, what you can do is, number one, you can go to IELTSadvantage.com, and at the bottom of IELTSadvantage.com on the homepage, you'll see that we have a little bit of AI in there where you can type in any question and it will answer it for you. So any IELTS question that you have. So check that out. And also, if you have a question, you can send me an email. So along the bottom here shows my email, chris@IELTSadvantage.com. If you have any questions that I don't answer, anything I can do to help, if you need some advice on anything related to IELTS, either myself or one of my team, we reply to 100% of the emails that we receive. So if you have any questions, just let us know. All right. So let me tell you what we are working on today. So we're working on speaking. So these speaking examiner seminars, we do normally do these similar things to these inside our VIP course. Our VIP course is a paid course. And what we decided to do was to do a tiny part of that for free on YouTube, on Facebook, just to help as many people as possible. What the speaking examiner seminars do is we ask you questions, you answer the questions, and then we ask the other students who are listening to give feedback on your performance. And what that allows you guys to do is really understand the marking criteria, what the examiners are using to judge your performance on test day. So one of the key reasons why our students are so successful is we help them understand the marking criteria and help them understand their performance in relation to the marking criteria. And then really the secret to what we do is teaching students what the examiners want, and most importantly, how to give the examiners exactly what they want. So I'll be inviting some of you up to speak with me one-on-one in a minute. But what I would like you to do first is get a piece of paper and a pen, and I want you to write 5 letters on the piece of paper. So the first letter is F for fluency. Next is C for coherence. Next is P for pronunciation. The next one is G for grammar. And the last one is V for vocabulary. Okay. Why these 5 letters? F, C, P, G, V? Because these are the 5 things that the examiners will be thinking about when they are listening to you on test day. So they'll be thinking about fluency and coherence, pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. So it's really important that you understand what the examiners are thinking. So what do these mean? So fluency, are you easily discussing the topics, the questions that they're asking you at a natural pace without too many unnatural pauses or hesitations. All right. So not zero pauses or zero hesitations. That's not, because that's impossible, but without unnatural pausing and hesitation. So you're not really struggling to answer the question because of a lack of vocabulary or a lack of grammar, for example. Coherence is, did you answer the question? Did you stick to the question generally? And did you develop your answer enough? Pronunciation, there's a lot of things related to pronunciation, but the number one thing is, can the examiner understand the words that you are saying? Can they understand 100% of what you're saying, or is it difficult for them to understand because of pronunciation issues? Grammar, the examiner will be thinking about how many grammar mistakes are you making, how many grammatical errors are you making, and are those errors serious or just minor little errors, and how often are you making them? And also they'll be thinking, do you have enough range of grammar to answer the different questions? Vocabulary, they'll be thinking about range. Do you have enough vocabulary to answer the questions on all the different topics? And how many mistakes are you making? Are you, especially to do with meaning? And that is about it. Sounds like a lot, but once you boil it down to just those 5 things, it becomes much easier to understand what the examiners are looking for. And those are the only things that you should worry about. You should not worry about eye contact, hand gestures, body language, how you greet the examiner, the clothes that you wear. None of that matters. It's only fluency and coherence, grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. Okay, guys, now I'm going to invite some of you guys up, and I'm going to then do some questions with you, and we're all going to listen to you. Just a few things before we start. I can only invite 10 people up, so please don't come up if you don't want to, for people to criticize you or give you feedback. Only do that if you're comfortable doing that. Number 2, make sure that you have a strong enough internet connection so that everyone can hear what you're saying. And number 3, please only join if you're in a quiet environment. If you have babies crying in the background, or someone having a party in the background, or noise, like traffic noise, we won't be able to speak to you, because we need to be able to hear what you're saying. Okay, guys. So what I'm going to do now is invite 10 of you up. I can't speak to all 10 of you, but I'll try my best to speak to as many of you as possible. So just post it in the chat on both YouTube and Facebook. So if you click on that link, if you want to come up and speak to me. Someone says 3 criteria are fulfilled. Okay. All right. So, and you must turn your camera on, guys. Your camera must be on. So we have Ferdinand, we have Yachi, we have Steve, we have Reben, Muktaba. Excellent, guys. Sonia, Shelly. Shelly, you've gone already, I think. So people were complaining that that you got to go twice. So I think we'll kick you from the studio. Shelly, sorry about that. We actually got emails from people complaining about that. But anyway, it's amazing what people think that they're entitled to. Anyway, all right, guys. So what we're going to do now is, this session will just focus on part 1. We normally just focus on either part 1, part 2, or part 3. And this session will focus just on part 1. So I'll invite each person up. I'll ask them 2 or 3 questions. And what I want you guys to do is listen and think about what feedback you would give them. So not just small little errors they make. What was their fluency like? What was their vocabulary like? What was their grammar like? And to the people who are in the queue, whoever gives the best feedback, the most helpful feedback, will go next. All right. So we like to reward people for giving help. So if you want to speak, your camera must be on. So Supriya, Sushant, Anisha, if you want to speak, make sure your camera is on. Okay. All right. Let me get my questions. Okay, excellent. All right. So Ferdinand was first. Hey, Ferdinand, how are you?
I'm fine. Hi, Chris.
Where are you calling from?
I'm from Indonesia.
Excellent. I've never been to Indonesia, but I'd love to go sometime. I'd love to. It looks like a beautiful country.
Yes, please come.
All right. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some part one questions, and all
Yes.
you have to do is just answer them. Is that okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, cool. So let me give you. Let me get my questions up. Where are my questions? All right, so we're going to talk about computers. How often do you use a computer?
Well, I use computers every day because I'm a mathematics teacher, and especially during this pandemic, I do online classroom with my students. That's why I use it every day.
And what do you use your computer for?
Normally for teaching my students, Zooming with my students, and also the classroom, Google Classroom. Yeah, mostly for teaching. Yeah, and also for social media as well.
And do you think it's important for children to learn to use computers?
Yes, of course. Like especially during these days, like everything is online, especially during this pandemic. So I think it's important for students uh, to be to be taught since the very early age. Yeah.
And do old people in your country use computers?
Not all, I guess. Especially Indonesia, there are some place that rural area, so there's no electricity as well, so it is impossible for them to have computers, to have access on computers. Yeah.
Okay. Is that a cat or a child in the background? I hope it's a cat. I hope it's a cat. Hello, cat.
Yeah.
Hello, cat. All right. So, I have sympathy for people with pets and children. So, all right. So, guys, everyone watching, what feedback would you give Ferdinand? So, what did he do well? What could he improve? And think about fluency, coherence, grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation. All right. So Sarah says he's trying good, but he's repeating things again and again. I guess he needs to put more ideas. So for part one, you wouldn't generally have multiple ideas. So no, he doesn't need to put more ideas in for part one. No. So Alfonso said he speaks confidently. Yes, he speaks confidently. Sukchen says biggest problem is pronunciation. Yeah, I think that probably is your weakest area. So I'd agree with that. Ribbon says grammar a little poor. What do you mean a little poor? Nina said lack of ideas. No, his ideas were fine. Rifat, some grammatical mistakes. So the examiner would notice some grammatical mistakes, but is that what you would say about the whole performance? You just noticed a few grammatical mistakes. Pradeep says his fluency was good. He needs to work on pronunciation. Yeah, in general, I'd agree with that. I think he should expand his ideas more. The answers were too short. No, the answers were not too short for part one. Part three, you need to develop your answers more. For part one, they were fine. Mm. Your cat really sounds like a child. It sounds like a baby. Maybe is that treat it like a baby? All right.
Yeah.
All right. So, Ferdinand, I think your coherence was fine. You answered the questions and you developed them well enough for part one. You answered them directly and then gave some background information on that. Added more to your answers. So that was fine. Fluency was also good. Grammar and vocabulary, especially grammar, you were making some small mistakes. So I would recommend listening to your performance, doing some practice tests and recording yourself, and then noticing those grammatical errors and then work on those weak areas of grammar. I think the main issue is pronunciation. However, we're doing this on the internet and your cat was crying in the background.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it was I couldn't understand you because of your kitten or because of your pronunciation. But for example, you were saying instead of saying rural areas, you're saying rural and not your final consonant sounds were missing at times. So I think that's the one area pronunciation to work on. One thing to you can do is if you go to our website IELTSadvantage.com or Google IELTS Advantage pronunciation guide, we have a free guide there that will help you with identify your pronunciation problems and work on those. I think that's the one area. But overall, you did really well, Ferdinand, especially with the cat in the background. Okay, Ferdinand.
Thank you so much, Chris. Oh my God.
Thank you. Okay, so who will we pick next? Who helped? Let's go with Gracious. How are you, Gracious?
Fine, thank you.
Let me guess, you are from Nigeria.
Yes.
With a name like Gracious, you're definitely from Nigeria. Okay, excellent. How are you today?
Awesome.
Okay,
Doing good.
I'm going to ask you some questions, and all you have to do is answer them. Okay?
Right. Yes.
Anyone watching, what you should do, guys, is think about her performance. What did she do well? What could she improve? And that's going to help you guys understand the marking criteria and what the examiners are looking for. All right. So we're going to talk about computers. How often do you use a computer?
Computer is a day-to-day part of my life because I work in an health maintenance organization, precisely in the call center. So every day I'm seated in front of a computer. It's I use it for my task achievement as well as a criteria to judge my productivity. So I'm always on the computer.
Good. And do you think it's important for children to learn to use computers?
Absolutely, even though with guidance. I think children should use computer because the world is turning digital. Unlike the 19th century, the 21st century has a lot to offer with children on it, but then it has disadvantage. So that's why I said with guidance.
Mm-hmm. And do old people in your country use computers?
Not quite, except for those who are educated, literate, and have access to it. But not all of them use them because some of them are in remote communities where they don't even have access to phone and other telecommunication gadgets, not to talk of computers.
Okay, good, Gracious. All right. So let's see, what feedback would you give to Gracious, guys? And the people waiting to go next, the better the feedback that you give, the more likely I am to pick you next. So someone says, I feel the cat is the real examiner. No. Still talking about Ferdinand's cat. Okay. Hung says, great vocabulary. Yes, your vocabulary is very strong, Gracious. Excellent. It's very, very good. One thing that I did notice, though, Gracious, was sometimes it wasn't a problem for those answers, but sometimes it felt like you were trying to think of more advanced vocabulary, and that was affecting your fluency at times. Am I correct or not?
Yes, I was still thinking though. Yes.
Yeah. So there's always a balance between fluency and using more advanced vocabulary. So if you're trying to think of more advanced vocabulary, you're like, okay, the digital, this, and then that affects your fluency a little bit because you're pausing and hesitating. So it's great to use more advanced vocabulary, but make sure that it doesn't affect your fluency by trying to think too hard about it. You to get a high score for vocabulary, you don't have to use high level vocabulary in every single sentence. So if you are more comfortable using a simpler word, use the simpler word, and then if a more complex word comes up naturally, then use that, and your vocabulary will be fine. Don't try too hard, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So let's see. Sarah says her accent is cool. Yes, Nigerian accents are cool. Someone says pronunciation is not great. So yeah, I think that would be, Gracious, your main weakness. I would agree with that person. It's not a huge weakness, but your other areas are very strong, but pronunciation would be the one thing that I would worry about. Yeah, she was good, but she had grammatical mistakes. I didn't notice too many. Her accent was heavy. So I'll talk about accent in a minute. So it's important that people really understand whether accent is important or not. Saladin says she's very organized in her ideas. Yep, the coherence was good. Santa says, sir, please give everyone a chance to speak. I can't keep everyone happy. I'm sorry, I can't keep everyone happy. All right. So the general feedback is that you did a really good job, but pronunciation might be an issue and accent might be an issue. So let's talk about that. So yeah, I would agree with that. I think your fluency is and your coherence is very good. Just be careful not to try too hard with vocabulary, because your vocabulary is excellent. And the only way that you might mess that up is trying too hard, and that might affect, you might make some mistakes with vocabulary, and then that might affect your fluency. So what I would say to my students on the VIP course is always just keep it simple. All right. Don't try too hard. Obviously, use advanced vocabulary if it's appropriate and it's accurate. But if not, use a simpler word and be conscious of the effect that can have on your fluency. Grammar was good as far as I could hear. Pronunciation. So let's talk about accent. So a lot of people believe that you need to speak with a British accent or an American accent to get a high score. You do not. Accent is not really important. So I'm not from Britain, and I think I would do okay with pronunciation. It's not about having a particular accent. It is about having a clear accent. So there are lots of people from Nigeria who speak with a Nigerian accent, and it's very clear and easy to understand. So it's not about changing your accent at all. It is about focusing on clarity and being as clear as possible. That is the only thing that I think might stop you getting a very high score, because pronunciation affects everything else. Because if the examiner can't understand you, they will give you a lower score for pronunciation, but it could also affect, their ability to understand whether you answered the question or not, or the vocabulary that they're using. So for you, Gracious, the only thing I would worry about and focus on is focus on being as clear as possible. And again, go to our website and you'll get a free pronunciation guide, and that will really help you focus on that. Is that clear, Gracious?
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
You did a very good job. Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gracious. All right. So, who gave the best feedback? Someone says, I keep receiving your emails. Thank you very much. That means my marketing team are doing an excellent job. So thank you so much. And if you don't want to receive the emails, there's a little unsubscribe button at the bottom of each email. So click that and you'll never hear from me again if you don't want to receive the emails. All right, let's go with Danish. How are you, Danish?
Hi, Chris. Good evening. How are you?
Good. Are you in Denmark, or is that just your name?
No, my name is Danish, but I live in Pakistan.
Okay.
That's the name. We have a Persian meaning to this name.
Wow, very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So you're in Pakistan right now?
Yes, in Pakistan, correct.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now is just ask you some part 1 questions. Is that okay?
Sure, please go ahead.
And everybody watching, if you can listen to Danish and think about what feedback you would give him, and that's going to help you understand the marking criteria and understand that will help your own performance. Okay, so we're going to continue to talk about computers. What do you use computers for?
Computer is kind of an integral part of my daily life. I use for spreadsheets for my accounting purposes. Since I'm an entrepreneur, I have to deal with the accounts every day. And besides, in the evening, I usually go for e-commerce because I am also learning how to become a virtual assistant on Amazon. So I have a kind of a daily routine that I have to get embedded with the computer. And besides, for the fact that, many of the applications that we can use on mobile these days, they are part of, previously we used to use on computers, now on mobile. So on a cell phone, you have it, 24/7 of the day. Sorry about that.
Okay. So in your country, do old people use computers?
We have a large population that are now wired with internet. Since we have local e-commerce stores, it's a booming business. However, I would say about 30-35% of the people are not connected to internet due to the age population. And besides, the education is another factor that contributes to not using the computers.
Okay. Excellent. All right, let's stop there. All right. So what feedback would you give Danish? Sarah says he wasn't to the point. I think he did it. He did answer the questions. I wouldn't say he went off topic. So what the examiner would be thinking about was, did he answer the questions and stay on topic, or did he go off topic?
Right.
And I don't think he went off topic. No. I've lost my place. He's very clear and easy to understand. Pilar Ramirez, yes, I would agree. He's very easy to understand. His pronunciation is excellent. Sarah says too much irrelevant stuff. I wouldn't say that what he was talking about was irrelevant. One possible problem would be that it's a part 1 question and he extended maybe a little bit too much, and I will give him some advice on that. Shilpi, he says a lot, otherwise he's good. So yeah, is like a little filler, but he wasn't saying it like a ridiculous number of times or anything like that, but saying things like and like that is a way of that people fill the conversation, and often if you do it too much, it could affect your fluency score a little bit, but I don't think that was the case with you. Unar says, I think he is fluent and have ideas, natural. You told us don't think about time limitation. The examiner can stop you. No, so each part 1, part 2, and part 3 has a different strategy, a different approach, different advice. So when I say don't just continue to talk, the examiner will stop you, I was talking about part 2. Part 1 is different. You do not just keep talking until the examiner stops you in part 1. And so Unar, good comment, because I can correct you on that. Okay, everyone is very complimentary. I think the only thing that people are being critical of is maybe the amount of development that he has. So I stopped you after the first question. I was like, so to everyone watching, if the examiner does that to you, often I have experienced that students get very stressed and flustered and think they have done something wrong, and then their fluency starts to go down. So I don't want that to happen to you, Danish, or other people so I did that to show you that for part 1, you don't have to extend your answers that much, because what happens in part 1 is the examiner must ask you a range of different questions and a range of different topics. They must do that to make it, to evaluate you fairly, but so they'll keep stopping you, and then you'll think you're doing something wrong. So in part 1, answer the question, explain it, or give an example or a personal story, and then stop. I'm not saying I'm not going to tell you how many sentences, because I don't want you thinking about, oh, have I 2 sentences or 4 sentences? Or just think like, have I adequately answered the question or not? And then stop, and then the examiner knows to ask you the next question. So you don't need to go continue talking about point after point after point and multiple examples. One explanation, one example is more than enough, Danish, okay?
Chris, is this a time bound? Would I be looking at some timer or what? Or
no.
That...
So we don't teach, either for the speaking test or the writing test, we don't teach number of sentences, number of words, or minutes or seconds or anything like that, because we want you focused on the task. And the task is simply answer the question. So just focus on answer. So let's say someone asked me, what are you doing after this? All right. So I would say, after this session, I have an interview with a person who wants to work at IELTS Advantage. The position is for a developer, and we are hiring him because we want to redevelop our website. Done. So I don't need to go into the detail of the job interview or anything like that. That's just, I've answered the question. Okay.
Right. So precise is the word that I have to keep in my mind. To be precise, right?
Yeah.
To be to the point, precise.
Yeah. To the point and precise. Yeah. Part 3, however, develop as much as you want. Really develop in part 3. Part 1 is just normal everyday. Like, imagine you and I are in Pakistan having a cup of tea together, and I say, you know, where do you work? You wouldn't speak for 5 minutes. You would just be like, I'm an entrepreneur and I work here, and that's it. You know, so that type of thing. But the rest, your vocabulary is good, your grammar is good, your fluency and coherence, overall pronunciation are very strong. I just worry that if the examiner keeps stopping you, then you could think, oh, I'm doing something wrong, and then because on test day, things can go wrong very quickly because there's so much stress and pressure and everything. Okay. So Danish, I don't think that you're going to have many problems. So I'm going to move on to another student. I want to help as many different people as possible. Okay, Danish?
Thanks so much, Chris. Thanks for your time. Thank you so much.
All right. So who gave the best feedback? Let's see. Let's go with, is it Erie or Erie? Erie?
Yes, correctly. Hello.
How am I saying? How do I pronounce your name? Sorry,
Erie.
Erie.
Yes.
Erie. There used to be a TV show called Erie, Indiana.
Okay.
Where are you from?
Actually, I'm in Germany. I
What
live
part
here
of Germany?
about 3 years.
What-
First of all, I want to thank you for the VIP course. I
Mhm.
am one of your students.
Okay, excellent.
Yes, I find it very good and it's fantastic.
I'll send you that $50 for saying that. So,
No,
so
really, it's amazing. You have done
excellent.
amazing work there.
What part of Germany are you in?
I am near Holland, Netherlands. Student city. It calls Aachen.
I used to live in Köln.
Köln. I have 45 minutes
Yeah.
with train.
Yeah, I lived there for one. I lived there for 1 year. And where are you from originally?
I am from Albania.
Albania. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we've got a few students from Albania recently, so that's
Yeah.
good. Okay,
Good.
so I'm running out of time, so I'm
Okay.
going to ask you the questions. Okay, Yuri?
Okay.
So how often do you use a computer?
So computer is very important in my daily life. First of all, since the lockdown came, we were obligated somehow to do the online classes. I have about 1 month that we are practicing how can we manage working by computer. Also, we must do, since I live here alone, we must do all the payments online because we cannot go in other places since we must do it with appointments and so on.
And do you think it's important for children to learn to use computers?
I think it's very important for children to use computer only if they are somehow obligated because they must do the homeworks. But for other reasons, I think that this is they must be seen by their parents because the sorry.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Because they must be focused only doing their homeworks and not the other things.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that's enough, I think. Okay, so
Okay.
what did you guys think? So the people waiting, whoever gives the most helpful feedback will go next. So
I must say this is the first speaking
don't
I
worry.
have not done before. Okay.
Well, the thing I always say is like it's good to make mistakes before the test. You don't want to make lots of mistakes on test day, and the best way to not make mistakes on test day is make lots of mistakes before the test, but learn from those mistakes. So push yourself out of your comfort zone each day, and you're doing a good job. So
Thank
don't
you very
worry. And
much.
mistakes are totally natural and normal when you're learning something. Okay. So Tamina says unnatural pausing. Yeah, I think fluency is your biggest issue, Erie. That seems to be what everyone says. Tamina says coherence is good. See?
I know.
Let me see. A lot of people are saying your pronunciation is good. Your pronunciation is excellent.
Thank you
Very, very
much.
good. A lot of people saying that you seem nervous and that's affecting your fluency and stuff. Yeah, that would be true, I
Yes,
think.
because this is the first time that I am doing the speaking.
Yeah.
That's
Some
why.
people said you're searching for words. You're trying to think of is that so? I think the main issue for you is pronunciation is good. Grammar, you are making some little errors like countable, uncountable nouns. You're talking about homeworks instead of homework. Homework would be uncountable. Little mistakes like that. But overall, your grammar is quite good. Overall, your vocabulary is quite good. but your main issue is the pausing, the hesitation, the audible pauses. So what we need to establish first is why that is happening. So there's two main reasons why that could happen. Number one could be that you're trying to think of content, the correct ideas to talk about, or it could be linguistic, like you're trying to think of the correct word or grammar. Which one do you think is causing that pause, that hesitation for you?
I think it's the first one, because since I haven't done this before, it's not because I'm thinking too much to find the correct words.
Good. That's excellent, because that's easy to fix. Okay, it's much easier to fix than the other one.
Practice makes improvement, you say.
Well, perfect.
Okay.
Practice makes perfect, not just practice. So the important thing for you to know and everybody to know is there are no extra marks or bonus scores or high marks for content or ideas. What the examiner is thinking about is, did she answer the question and stay on topic, or did she not answer the question and stay on topic? The examiner is not thinking about how advanced were her ideas. There are no extra marks for that. So what you should do is just pick things to talk about that are easy to talk about, that you're comfortable talking about. And that is you're going to be more relaxed, and your fluency is going to be much better. You should give yourself the chance of giving your best performance by just picking easy things to talk about. So how often do you use a computer? Every day. This is why I use it every day. This is what I use it for every day. And that's so simple to talk about, and that is going to help your fluency. I think you're a little bit nervous as well. The best way to overcome nerves is to do a lot of preparation, and you're part of the VIP course. So we will do a one-on-one speaking test with you, and we will tell you what your band scores are and exactly why you got those band scores, so that on test day, you know that if you give the same performance, you will get the score that you need. And that's going to make you a lot more confident as well. But you're a VIP student, so I'm not going to spend a huge amount of time with you here, because but if you have any questions, you need any help, use the fluency practice sessions, the speaking examiner sessions, the speaking buddy system, all of those things inside the VIP course to practice your speaking. Okay, Iri?
Thank you very much.
Cheers. All right. So let's see. Who is next? Norman. Can you tell me?
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
And you're from Azerbaijan?
Yeah, close to Turkey and Russia.
How
and
is
Georgia.
everything in Azerbaijan these days?
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for choosing.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and I just want you to answer them naturally. Okay. So
Okay.
we're going to talk about computers. How often do you use a computer?
Well, actually, I use it every day because my work relates to it. And as I'm working as human resources specialist, I do a lot of daily reports on it. And also I got all information which I need from the computers, using by computers.
And do you think it's important for children to learn to use computers?
Yes, it is. It's crucially important because, nowadays a lot of things and a lot of information we could get from the computers. In addition, it makes easier our daily life. So we could use it and we could get a lot of information and a lot of new resources from the computers.
And do old people in your country use computers?
Well, to be honest, no. Actually, I don't know why, but I think maybe they afraid to make some mistakes, and maybe they afraid to learn new things from the computers, because it's hard for them to use it. There are a lot of things to know about it, because, to be honest, it's not easy for them to use it.
Excellent. Okay. What feedback would you give Norman? All right. Zara says pronunciation needs to be improved. I don't think her pronunciation was poor, but maybe she could improve it a little bit. We'll talk about that.
Mhm.
Let me see. Someone says she is perfect. Nobody is perfect. So nobody.
That's true.
Especially me. So as the comment section in YouTube will testify to, fluency and coherence are very good, but pronunciation and accent are her weak areas.
Really? Oh,
That's not my comment. I'm reading other comments.
okay. But
A
anyway,
lot of people are
thanks.
saying it's very good.
Thank you.
So a lot of people are saying you're very confident. I would
Yes.
agree, you are very confident. Good overall. Yeah, I think it was good overall. Very fluent. Yeah, I think she's fluent. Should develop the idea a little more. Not for part one. No, I don't think she needs to do that for part one.
Yeah, because as I know, I should keep it simple for part one.
Yeah, as long as you answer the question directly and then
Yeah.
add maybe an explanation, maybe an example, or a little bit more information, that's all good. So yeah.
So just 2-3 sentences, yeah? Is it enough for part
I
one?
wouldn't think about number of sentences. No.
Okay.
Because what we don't want to do is get you thinking about anything other than just answering the question, because it's difficult enough to do that without adding an extra thing. So don't worry about that. Okay. So overall, I thought that your performance was good. You are quite formal, and you're talking in a very formal way. That's okay, but remember that the speaking test is not a formal academic test. It's
like
not
in addition and something like that. Yeah.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. But I just sometimes when people are overly formal, it can affect the fluency and coherence a little bit, and when people speak in a very formal academic way, I tend to think that people are more nervous and more stressed out.
Yeah.
And whereas when people are relaxed a little bit, they tend to perform better, in my opinion, and in my experience. So speak to the examiner in the same way you would speak to a friend or a colleague. Because that's what they're testing. They're not, even if you're doing the academic test, they're not testing, how well you would give a TED talk or give a university lecture. It's when you move to London or New York or Sydney, can you just talk to friends and colleagues in a normal way? So you don't need to worry about making it really formal and academic. Pronunciation, I think, is your only real weakness. You are making some small grammatical errors and vocabulary errors, but overall your grammar and vocabulary is quite good. I think one just small thing that you could do is open your mouth a little bit wider. Some of the students that I work with, we said that they talk inside their mouth. So it's normally when people are a little bit nervous, what they do is they will talk at a low volume, kind of inside their, like they'll talk like I am, and that can affect your fluency. So when you are speaking to the examiner, I'm not saying shout at the examiner, but a thing that we often do is imagine you're talking to the wall behind the examiner.
Yeah.
And that will force you to kind of open your mouth a little bit more and project your voice a little bit more. and that will help your pronunciation. Your pronunciation is good, but you're
Yeah.
talking a little bit inside your mouth at times.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Of
Excellent.
course. Thanks
You
a lot.
did- But the rest of it was very, very good. Okay.
Appreciate.
Okay, so I have to go, guys, because I have a meeting in 10 minutes and I want to finish the meeting as quickly as possible so that I can get my dinner and play with my little boy. So apologies, I couldn't speak to everyone. Thank you so much to everyone for your participation. I do have a webinar, a writing webinar that is happening tomorrow. Let me see, did Justin send me the link for that? No, he did not. It's on our Facebook page. So if you go to our Facebook page, you'll see the link where you can sign up for the writing webinar. If you need help with writing, it's totally free, and that's happening tomorrow. Just go to our Facebook page and you can sign up for that. It's a live event, so you can join us. You can also check out IELTSadvantage.com. You'll find a lot of free information there. If you have a question, chris@IELTSadvantage.com is my email address. If you want to work with us on our VIP course, you can email us and we'll discuss with you whether we have any places available and if we think that you would be a good fit for the VIP course. And I think that's everything, guys. If you enjoyed that, like, subscribe. If you didn't like it, unlike, unsubscribe, whatever. I don't care. It's whatever you want to do. Thank you very much, guys. And it was a pleasure teaching you. And I'm going to go now. And thank you to, who did we have? We had Erie, we had Ferdinand, Danish, and a few other people. I can't remember. All right. It's the end of the day and it's been a long day. So apologies. Thanks, guys. And see you again soon.